This is Dennis Palumbo, author of the award-winning Daniel Rinaldi Mysteries, and you're listening to the Dark and Stormy Book Club podcast.
Hello and welcome to Dark and Stormy Book Club. Today we visit with Liz Decker, owner of Caprichos Books. Enjoy!
I'm Ann Dart.
I'm Tracy Stormy.
And I'm Kathy Knight.
And together we are
It Was a Dark and Stormy Book Club,
a podcast for mystery lovers.
Welcome.
If you enjoy our show, please consider contributing to the Dark and Stormy Patreon. By becoming a patron, you will help us create better and quality content. There are also benefits to becoming a patron, such as exclusive content and Dark and Stormy merchandise. Become a supporter at patreon.com/darkandstormybc. Check our website for the link. We appreciate any and all contributions. Thank you.
We are happy to introduce to the program Liz Decker. She is one of our lovely patrons, and she is the owner of Caprichos Books. And we are very happy to have her on with us. Welcome, Liz.
And we consider her our official bookseller.
Yes. Hello, hello.
As we approach the holiday season, the gift-giving season, we thought we would talk to somebody who has their ear to the ground of what people may be looking for this holiday season.
Yes, I definitely tried to make a list for you of things that I thought people would appreciate. I tried to group them in categories, but I stuck within our mystery theme because, you know, there's so many branches and levels and things like that. And I went through some of my catalogs here and found some interesting ones as well. Anywhere in particular you want to start?
How about young adult?
Oh, okay. One of my favorite young adult. This is kind of mystery, but also a little fantasy here. We've got Rust in the Root by one of my favorites, Justina Ireland. And that just came out as part of the list for Publishers Weekly Top Books of 2022. So that book came out in December. Again, it's still fantasy, but it is YA. There's definitely mystery to it that's fun to follow along with. It is a historical fiction, basically Dust Bowl magic. There's magic in the air, and it's about a mage who wants to get a license because that's required at that time, and how the magic people are helping solve the crisis of the Dust Bowl, we'll say.
Ah, that does sound very interesting.
That's definitely YA, so I would say teens, okay, like 6th, 7th grade and up. You said young adult. That's the first one that comes to mind, and I'm sure I could find you some more. I just listened to one that again, it's a little bit of a mystery. It's very lighthearted. It's called Spells for Lost Things. It's a little bit of a romance. That one's definitely a teen. You know, there might be a little kissing in there. Nothing too much. And it does deal with some heavier topics. There is a young man who is in the foster care system because his mother is an addict and he really wants to find her, and he meets this other young girl who is struggling in her relationship with her mother, and she throughout the book learns a whole lot more about her mother than she knew before, and you learn a lot about them both learning things about their mother, I should say, their mothers. So that was a sweet book. And I know it's Halloween. I'm thinking Halloween now, but it's definitely a sweet book for a younger reader that does involve some fun mystery there as well.
Wow.
Who's the author?
I cannot remember. I'm sorry,
Okay.
I don't know that one off the top
I'll
of my
look
head.
it up.
We'll put it in the show.
It's a dual perspective. I listened to it on audio, so you get the male character and the female character voiced by their individual narrators.
I know that you are moving into a new space. When is that supposed to happen?
Yes, so that will be Spells for Lost Things is by Jenna Evans Welch.
Oh, okay.
And we should be moving in mid-December, and it's going to be kind of a soft open when we first open. Like, I really want to be open for the holidays, so it's just going to be stuff kind of shoved in there. And then as the new year unravels, we'll get a little bit more settled and laid out and things like this. But in this case, I'm using a lot of the fixtures that are already in the space will be in Ocean Pines. in the Southgate area, Manklin Creek Shopping Center.
Do you have any things that aren't books that would be appropriate for gifts as far as YA goes?
Generally bookmarks. I have some really cute bookmarks. Definitely a hot thing right now, it seems to be, especially in YA, is book tags, and there's another name for them, but book clips. So they're magnetic clips. They really, I find a lot more YA readers are rereading books and highlighting and making notes and things like that. So anytime you can have a bookmark that's movable, or you can color code or use several bookmarks in a book, people are really seeming to appreciate that. Again, the YA readers, or even new adult, if you want to call it that, that's definitely a popular thing that I have. I have this really cute set. It's a cat at the top and then mice running down the side of the book. Little mice bookmarks. So I like that. That's one of my newer ones.
Can people order online for that?
Yeah, that's all on my website. You can definitely find that all on my, specifically those are on the front page of my website. Another popular thing too would be tarot cards, and not just in general tarot, but there's some fun themed ones. So one of my most popular ones is Jane Austen tarot deck.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. That, and also
I want those.
I have a really neat, they're so popular. I have it's called The World of, and they're different authors, and they're kind of like Where's Waldo puzzles. So The World of Jane Austen is a big one, where you assemble this puzzle, and it's a whole view of town, and you, as you're building, or even after, you can find the characters from the books, and there's a whole map of, find these 35 characters, and here's 4 buildings you can identify from the books. There's also Sherlock Holmes and Charles Dickens, and those are the 3 puzzles. There's another one, but I can't think of who it is off the top of my head. But I just like them because it's not just a puzzle. Mm-hmm. It's got that interactive, like I said, Where's Waldo type theme.
Those sound neat.
Oh, yeah.
Don't tell Tracy, I might get her one for Christmas.
All right.
Don't tell her.
Yeah, she bought me a puzzle from you, from your one other year.
Last year.
Yes, that's right. That's right.
Before.
Yep. And now let's move on to cozy lovers.
It's funny, I just was trying to plan my own, I realized I had never heard the term crime fiction. I don't know why I didn't hear that term or like think of that term, like crime fiction. Instead of just saying true crime book club, I can now say crime fiction book club. It's so funny. I'm like, that's such an obvious thing. One of the ones that I said, oh, that's kind of cozy. But in my catalog here, because cozy sounds so cute to me, I'm not a huge reader of cozy, other than I used to read I think Lillian Braun, the Cat series.
Oh, yes, yeah.
But this new one coming out, it seems, is It Came Upon a Midnight Shear. It's a riverbank knitting mystery. A murder in her yarn shop's backyard puts the holiday plans for Libby Beckett and her English bulldog Hank on thin ice. This cozy third mystery. I'm like, I love the whole idea of knitting and things like that. And then, of course, there's A Trip with Trouble, the Mountain Lodge mysteries.
Who wrote the knitting one?
The knitting one is Allie Platier, Pleiter, and then, of course, you have Mary Higgins Clark with Deck the Halls.
Yes.
And then Death by Spiced Chai, the bookstore cafe mystery. I love how niche these cozy mysteries are getting, where it's not just a bookstore, it's not just a cafe. Let's go bookstore cafe. We're going real hardcore on detail there.
There's a book out I wanted to tell you about.
Oh, yeah.
It's called A Margin for Murder.
Okay.
It's a Beyond the Page mystery by Lauren Elliott. And she goes to a book sale and buys a book movie.
Nice.
Oh, that's one for Lister.
There we go. I'll have to check it out. There's another one, The Plot Thickens, a Garden Squad mystery.
Yeah, they really upped their game. It used to just be like a Jessica Fletcher type thing, and now like
Rest in peace.
Yes, yes. Oh, yes. I'll never watch Bed Knobs and Broomsticks the same way again.
Exactly. But just Jessica Fletcher. I've seen so many of the book covers for all the Jessica Fletcher series. So just thinking of that. But yes, they used to just think, you're right. I feel like it was just like, okay, we get that, get the whole typewriter in the beginning and all that. And now they just get so detailed.
What about true crime?
I just finished Couple Found Slain by Makita Brotman, our friend Makita Brotman.
Yes. Yeah, we got to reach out to her.
One thing that I really like about her writing is it's not just about the crime. It definitely unravels. And I love when the authors are even able to go back so far in a biography sense that this young man murdered his parents, but we learn even the parents' history and we learn about their upbringing before they even get to his life. So we go back pretty far, but then obviously early in the book, he murders his parents, and it's much more about the system around how they handled him and his mental health. From the last that I read, he still has been in prison. Well, it's not prison, it's a mental health facility. I think it was 1992, if I remember correctly. And he's fought and fought and fought because he's like, look, I may have had a lapse, but here's all the things. The problem is people are shuffling him between doctors and things like that. So I like that it's a lot more about, again, the continuing picture about what happens after the crime. The crime is horrific, and they do, of course, talk about that. But that was one of the most recent true crime books that I read. And then coming up, actually looking at my list for the next 6 months, I didn't choose any true crime books. I was pretty set on sticking with fiction. My fiction ones tend to be a little more popular than my true crime.
Well, you know why I think that is that we try to include some true crime in the show, and they're kind of hard to find. Exactly.
And they can read kind of dry sometimes, and not everybody, definitely there's a difference between the true crime and the story of it all.
Mm-hmm.
The one that comes to the top of mind is Couple Found Slain.
Okay.
I will say too, if you want another recommendation as a gift, I really did enjoy 18 Tiny Deaths, which again is not really
it's that is such a good book
about the natural, but I loved really learning about her, Frances Lee Glessner, and that the book is by Bruce Goldfarb. He just does such a great job of, again, the big picture of her life and understanding where she came from and why she wanted to do what she wanted to do and everything that she did beyond what is normally recognized.
She was so far ahead of her time. It's just crazy.
I did also read The Science of Murder. Well, I should say I got about 3/4 through, and that is about Agatha Christie and the science behind crime in her books. So things that I had never considered before, things like fingerprinting did not exist when she first started writing, but as it developed in science, Agatha Christie was so on top of it and knowing what was happening in the world that she started to incorporate these things. So, a lot in the beginning, it was a lot of poisons in the original thing. The first Miss Marple does have a gun, but spoiler. But she didn't know, one of the things they say is that she didn't really know a lot about guns, but she tried her best to explain some general things about guns. The Science of Murder is definitely a good book to look at Agatha Christie. And again, it's not a biography of her, it's a kind of a breakdown of her writing and the science of her writing. So that was, I thought, very interesting. While we're on true crime, I'm going to talk about one that people probably don't consider crime at all, but I think is a very, very good book that, thinking of, I would call it a true crime. The Science of Murder, The Forensics of Agatha Christie is by Carla Valentine.
Okay, thank you.
But the other book that is not true crime that I think should be a massive gift and should be shared is I'm Glad My Mom Died by
Yes, I keep hearing about it.
It is not what you would consider a crime book. People don't think, but the crimes that happened to her, it is absolutely heartbreaking. And honestly, I really feel like it was like going through therapy with her, even though her problems were not my problems. By the end of the book, you could really feel the relief. Again, it's a big picture. It's a lot more things that no one realized was going on and things like that. So it's definitely one to consider.
Who was the girl that was on iCarly?
Correct.
What was the name?
Jeanette McCurdy.
And yeah, that book is a hot topic on everybody's.
Yeah, I've heard a lot about that one.
Of course, absolutely 100%. That title is a clickbait, like attention. Not necessarily clickbait, because it is very revealing about a lot of things, but I think it's almost a rally cry for other people who need to hear this, who are not talking about the topic of
Absolutely.
the abuse, the anorexia, bulimia, all the things that she went through. So definitely a very, very good book that should be gifted to people. And she does it in a she's just a remarkable writer, and I'm really looking forward to reading more of her writing.
Yeah, yeah. I'm glad you brought that up, because I keep saying I'm going to read it, and then we get 100 books in the mail, and it gets lost in the shuffle.
So, and well, I will say on audio, she narrates it. So that's also helpful because you do hear it truly in her voice. And I always love that because it does lend itself to so much more of the tone and inflection of how they meant it to be delivered.
Mm-hmm. Are you getting a lot of requests for that book?
I originally ordered 5 and I sold 5, but I haven't had any requests since then. It actually sold out immediately. The publisher way underprinted it. It even sold out on Amazon. When something sells out over there, you know it's underpublished because they usually way over order because they undercut all us little people. And so if it oversells there or outsells there on the first day or two, it's definitely the printer did not print enough.
Yeah.
The publisher did not go hard. They way underestimated how popular that book was going to be. So it's definitely come back. I mean, they were really quick to fix it though. But that's why I didn't rush too much to get more copies in because I was worried that there was going to be people who said they wanted it and then didn't get it kind of thing.
Yeah. What else you got?
I got 2 here that are romance mysteries.
Okay.
Okay.
So I recently read Dead Romantics and I loved it. It was absolutely incredible. It was a book that I was having a hard day just in general for no reason. It was just an emotional day, I guess. And I was like, I want a light, fun, romantic comedy. So I started listening to that. Like when you look at the cover, it seems a little like it might be lighthearted. It is definitely not nearly as lighthearted as I expected, but it is a emotional roller coaster. And again, it brings out so much. That day I was like, this is amazing. I practically started crying just because it was so good, because it brings out so many and addresses so many emotions. But there's a fun mystery. It's very dark in a lot of ways, but also lighthearted, if that makes sense. I believe the author is Ashley Poston. It's her adult debut. I didn't realize that, but again, that's another one I'll read anything else by her. And another one is Love on the Brain by Allie Hazelwood. And Allie Hazelwood is writing, she has a series called Women in STEM. And these are romance books. But after reading Love on the Brain, I'm like, that was such a good mystery. Like, I did not see that ending coming. And it was definitely just, again, romance, comedy, lighthearted, but with a good twist of a mystery at the end.
Okay.
And of course, again, you got women in STEM, so it's got some fun science in there, which is interesting. Each of the chapter titles is a different part of the brain and a different emotion that part of the brain might stimulate, kind of thing.
Oh, I like that. People are getting really clever.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Again, we're going niche where we're going to go down these rabbit holes. She's a neuroscientist, and then the book before, I don't remember. Love Hypothesis, I think, is not the first book. It's not really a series. Again, it's just a collection, I would say, of women in STEM. I think today was her cover reveal for the next one in the series or next one in the collection. I didn't get a chance to look at it, but I saw yesterday she was doing a cover reveal.
What about suspense?
I just did A Woman in the Library.
Yes.
And that is
Sulari
Gentile, I believe is her name. I picked that because I've heard her speak a few times. And that one is definitely more suspense. Did you say you read it, Tracy?
Yes, I did read it. I reviewed it on the show.
Okay. I was gonna say, I don't even know how to describe it, like dual perspective, kind of. I know a lot of people struggled in our book club with the 2 parallel stories, so to speak. Because one is the letter.
Actually, it was a story inside a story inside a story.
Yes. A lot of people struggle with that. I did add her, I don't know if it's her first book necessarily, but her previous book after she wrote him. And that's another mystery that I didn't realize she had written that one first. And so I added that for our January mystery book club, our crime book club. Also, actually, I'm also reading, if you want to talk suspense, I would say it's interesting because I'm trying not to just focus on books that are coming out just for the holidays, but if you want to think about something that was published earlier this year, The Paris Apartment.
Oh, yes.
Yeah,
There was a
I
lot
read
of
about
I read that
buzz
so long
about
ago, I
that.
forgot. That came out this year. So
Yeah.
The Paris Apartment, that's another suspense book that is amazing. And I just added The Hunting Party. We've read Lucy Foley's previous 2 books. I definitely liked them. And I just saw a commercial for a show that looks so much like what I think The Hunting Party is. And then The Guest List.
The guest
So,
list,
and The
yeah.
Guest List. That's
Yeah.
another one. Like, I definitely want to see those come to life. Those were such great thriller. Like, what's happening?
Yeah. Yeah.
So we just put down The Hunting Party. That'll be another one on our list. I think that I did that for Christmas, for winter.
Yeah, she is an amazing author. Very, very visual.
Yes. This one sounds really interesting too. This one is on my holiday catalog, called Malice House by Megan Shepherd.
Ooh.
Right?
I like the title.
New York Times bestselling author Megan Shepherd weaves a complex tale of dark magic and family secrets when a woman attempts to settle the estate of her father, an acclaimed horror novelist.
Ooh.
Oh no, I saw that one. I'm like,
I think
all right.
that's going on the list.
Yeah, I had not heard of that one, but that one is in our catalog. It must have come out recently. You know, somebody just ordered this collection from me, and so I don't know. Have you read any Darcy Coates?
I haven't, no.
Okay,
That
so
sounds familiar.
She's like cranking them out. She, I guess I shouldn't assume. But I have gotten several advanced reader copies in the past 3 years from this author. I feel like I get 3 or 4 a year. Different books that they're pumping out, right? This is a collection called A Black Winter Novel. So I believe there are 4 in the collection right now, but they are horror. The person who ordered them is a big Stephen King fan, so I wasn't sure which way they leaned, but those are horror. And then let me see if I have any other thriller off the top of my head. I know I had some mystery detection. I do have what I will say is one that we talked about with you last time on the missing, we'll call it the missing episode. I did talk about one of my favorites that I was reading at the time. I know we kicked off with YA, but I'm going to go back a little bit and we'll go to middle grade. And
Okay.
I shared with you the Aggie Morton series.
Yes.
Because I just definitely think that I saw it again today. I was visiting Flying Cloud Books in Easton, Maryland. Adorable little shop, beautiful, just very well laid out, very elegant store, if I could say so. She had all 3 there, or I should say they had all 3 there. And it is a middle grade telling of an imagining of what Agatha Christie was as a child. So they're these cute little mysteries. They're dark and they're heavy and they're, there's things involved. And I'm like, this is middle grade, but it's like, this is perfect middle grade for that budding crime enthusiast.
Yeah.
I do have, I think we also talked about the Myrtle Hardcastle series. I have not read those. I do have them, but I think it's kind of similar. So again, you have this, now I will also bring up something that I think will be popular because season 2 is coming out of Enola Holmes. And I want to remind people that was a book first. So there is a book series. I got halfway through the first one and then we moved and I haven't been able to find my copy since. So it is also a graphic novel series. And I think that I've seen those in a few stores recently. They're on the shelves. Those were the ones that I really wanted to make sure I brought up. I will say the other one that I added to my list, I'm curious if you've read, is 8 Perfect Murders by Peter Swanson.
No.
So I have that. I can try to send you the arc that I have here, but I believe that is a movie that just came out as well. I mean, I feel like it came out right after this book came out, but that one is on my list for February. And then We Are All the Same in the Dark by Julia Heberlin.
I've heard of that
I've
one.
heard that
Yeah,
one.
I started to read that one too, and I did not realize that one feels dark. That one just feels heavy and sad.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm curious to see how it goes, if it's going to be suspense or just in general crime unraveling.
Yeah.
So.
Well, Liz, you have given lots of people lots of good ideas of what to put on their holiday lists, tell them how they can get in touch with you.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, absolutely. So my website is www.caprichosbooks.com, and that's CAPRICHOS books.com. And my email is just Liz, Liz, at caprichosbooks.com as well. If you want to email me, if you have any questions, if there's something you don't find on my website, I will say something that I have a lot of hand on is Chasing the Boogeyman, which that did come out last year. I don't think I have any paperbacks left. I still have lots of hardcovers though. And that's a good thriller there. That's a good thriller. But yeah, just caprichosbooks.com right now. And then in December, if you're in the Ocean City area, we'll be in Ocean Pines in the Manklin Creek. Yeah, grand opening will be like April. We're very excited for Independent Bookstore Day. That'll be in April. We'll have a fun little thriller. I know, not thriller. It's a collection of like old scientific sci-fi type stuff.
Ooh, cool.
Okay.
Yeah, like some
good.
Lovecraft in there, things like that. So I know that there's a little collection of that. It's like a $5 thing for Independent Bookstore Day, but that'll be coming out. More information will be that'll be the last weekend in April. That'll probably be our
her
big grand
website
opening.
further information.
Yes.
Well,
Thank
go
you,
ahead,
ladies.
Nan.
Thank you so much.
And you enjoy the rest of your evening.
Thank you. You too.
Thank you. Good to talk to you.
Good to
All
talk to you
right,
too.
bye,
Good
Liz.
night.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Trivia. Last week's question was, Donald Westlake was an Edgar Award winner more than once. He was in a very rare brotherhood with awards for what? A, 3 books in 1 year. B, an award in each category, novel, short story, and screenplay. C, the number of copies sold in 1 year. And D, the diversity of subjects in his books. The answer is B. He received an Edgar for Best Novel in 1968, Best Short Story in 1990, and Best Motion Picture Screenplay in 1991. This week's question is, Alfred Hitchcock adapted one of his movies from a very famous mystery. Which one, and who was the author? A, Rear Window by Josephine Tay. B, Vertigo by Ruth Rendell. C, The Birds by Daphne du Maurier. Or D, Gaslight by Agatha Christie. Tune in next week for the answer. Well, that wraps up another edition of Dark and Stormy Book Club. Be sure and listen next week because we have a very special interview and you won't want to miss it. And remember,
Life would be boring without a little mystery. Bye.